Before I started working with AWS, I had no clue what the cloud even meant. But when I started looking for cloud-related jobs and started interviewing, I did some research on what cloud computing is all about and how AWS fits into this multi-billion-dollar cloud world. Now, I've been working in two different AWS roles for the last few years now. First as an AWS cloud architect and now as an AWS cloud engineer, which I prefer as I love to get my hands dirty and build things. Along the way, I've also managed to pass some AWS certifications like my AWS Cloud Practitioner Foundational exam and also my AWS Solution Architecture Associate. And I even made some videos about them which you can find in the description of this video. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the steps I would take if I were to start learning AWS Cloud from scratch again, using the knowledge and experience that I've gained so far as a certified AWS engineer. And I'm going to give you a structured process with a clear 7 steps that you can follow to learn AWS Cloud faster and even land a job in the AWS Cloud industry sooner. When it comes to learning something new, it's essential to start with the basics, just like how you would start by learning variables, loops, and functions when you begin your coding journey. The same principles apply to AWS Cloud. Now, instead of immediately diving into researching AWS, I would suggest first gaining a solid understanding of the cloud itself. And this includes learning what the cloud is, what it's used for, why it exists, and the advantages it provides for businesses through cloud computing. Now, there is this great video by AWS where they explain what cloud computing is, and if there are any unfamiliar concepts mentioned in this video, such as servers or data centers, I recommend making a note of them and then researching them later on using YouTube and Google. Now, at this stage, I also recommend learning some other fundamental cloud computing concepts such as virtualization, cloud storage, and networking. And these will help you build a strong foundation of knowledge before moving on to more advanced topics. Okay, so once we've built an understanding of cloud fundamentals, this is where we can dive into the basics of AWS. Now, I have seen a lot of people jump straight into certifications, but I think that this is very much overwhelming and just too much information to learn, revise, and pass an exam for when it's very likely that you don't truly understand the context of it. Now, the best thing to do is always start simple and then increase complexity over time. So from here, I would research what AWS is, why it started, the competitors, reading AWS blogs, and also watching their AWS videos on their YouTube channel. The great thing about AWS is that it is the most widely used public cloud, and therefore there are a lot of resources and information about AWS out there on the internet. Now, once we've done this, I think now is a great time to search for the top 10 or 20 most commonly used AWS services and get familiar with them, such as S3, EC2, VPCs, RDS, CloudFront. And don't worry, if you don't know what these are right now, you will learn more about them on your AWS journey. At this stage, I also suggest making an AWS account and using their AWS free tier to get familiar with the AWS console, how to navigate it, look into the host of the different services that they have, and just get used to the console UI. Okay, so now we've built the basic understanding of AWS, it's time to get our hands dirty. And the best way to learn is by doing, by building, by creating, and not just by consuming. So it's time to get hands-on building, which is step number 3, and start building with AWS. Now, luckily for us, AWS has a fantastic resource called workshops.aws, which offers beginner-friendly AWS projects to help you get familiar with their services and what they actually do. This step is crucial because actually using the services and building with them will greatly benefit you when it's time to revise for your AWS certifications. Now, it may seem daunting at first, but if you follow the AWS workshop guides, you should be able to tackle it. And the key is to use the AWS services that are most most common, make changes on the AWS console, and then interact with the AWS APIs using the AWS CLI. Now, the best part about AWS workshops is that the entire platform is completely free, with hundreds of projects available using all sorts of different services and ideas. Now, my recommendation is to complete 5 to 10 projects on AWS workshops and create a document about what you've actually been building. Additionally, it's a good idea to focus on the most commonly used AWS services in the workshops. Now, I'm in the process of building my own AWS Cloud Bootcamp for beginners. If you are interested in being part of our first students, then you can click and sign up in the description below to be notified when we actually launch. Now, step number 4 of how I would learn AWS Cloud would be to get familiar with the AWS well-architected framework. Now, this is fundamental knowledge and theory we have to understand in order to follow AWS best practices when we are building projects. Now, the AWS well-architected framework helps you understand the pros and cons of decisions you make when building systems on AWS. By using the framework, you will learn architectural best practices for designing and operating reliable, secure, efficient, and cost-effective, sustainable systems in the cloud. So as I mentioned, the well-architected framework consists of 6 pillars: operational excellence, security, reliability, performance, cost optimization, and sustainability. I won't cover what these are right now because then I will be doing your research and homework for you, but take note of these and then research them after this video. Now, step number 5 is to use AWS Skill Builder. Now, AWS Skill Builder is a comprehensive program that provides free, self-paced digital courses designed to help individuals and beginners build their cloud computing skills on AWS and then use those skills to earn AWS certifications. Now, the program offers various learning paths and courses to help you acquire technical skills in different areas of cloud computing and just generally help you prepare for AWS certifications. Now, step number 6 is to prepare for certifications, which is where we can put all the revision notes and learnings we have documented in the previous steps to good use and start preparing for the actual AWS certification exams. It's important to note that while certifications don't guarantee employment, they do add credibility to your knowledge and skills. That's why in this video, we focus on hands-on learning first before diving into certification preparation. Now, AWS certifications are also highly regarded in the industry for validating your AWS skills and knowledge, and earning AWS certifications can increase your reputation amongst employers and also your peers. Now, preparing for an AWS certification exam does require a better and deeper understanding of AWS services, architectures, and best practices, but this knowledge can help you build better AWS solutions and also just enhance your problem-solving skills, since you would have already built a strong foundation of AWS fundamentals, key services, and cloud computing. By the time you actually start your certification preparation, you'll be much better prepared and you'll have an easier time to understand the concepts that you're learning through the certifications. Now, I recommend starting with the AWS Cloud Practitioner Foundational Certification, as it provides a structured learning pathway and it covers the basics of AWS, cloud computing, and also just general developer support services. Now, you can check out my other video about how I passed my AWS Cloud Practitioner exam in just 7 days if you're interested in this certification. The exam itself is multiple choice, it's 90 minutes long, and to prepare, I use video courses and practice exams. After this certification, I recommend going for the Solution Architect Associate certification and applying the same preparation techniques you use for the Cloud Practitioner exam for this exam as well. Do note that this certification requires a deeper understanding of AWS and has a lot of architectural-based focus on the exam, but it's most popular exam and probably one of the most important exams for professionals that are getting into AWS. Now, I'll definitely include all the resources that I use for my exams in this video description below. Now, I highly recommend taking another big step in your AWS learning journey, which is to share your work, learnings, and projects with others which is step number 7 of how I would learn AWS Cloud again from scratch. This is crucial because not only does it showcase the great work that you're doing, but it can also open up many doors for you by just sharing your work online. And as I mentioned earlier, documenting your learnings during the workshops can help you create valuable content such as blogs, which you can then share on your personal blog site or even social media platforms like Twitter or LinkedIn. By also sharing your work online can get you some valuable feedback from others, but also help you stay motivated. Now, moreover, through your blog posts, tweets, you can also apply for the AWS Community Builders Program, which is a community-driven initiative by AWS that recognizes and supports individuals who are just passionate about sharing their AWS knowledge and experience with others. This is actually an excellent way to network and be part of the AWS community, and AWS accepts applicants twice a year for their Community Builders Program, so I encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity and share your work with the world on the internet. Now, let me know in the comments if you are learning about AWS, if you are, how is it actually going? And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.